Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this Berkeley County Board of Education meeting this Tuesday, September 10th, 2019. I call this meeting to order. I declare a quorum is present and the media has been notified. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make the motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Ms. Conder. To approve the agenda, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. The ayes have it, 6-0. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the board
I make the motion.
board meeting, August 27th, 2019.
Make the motion.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey,
Second.
a second by Ms. Conder, to approve the minutes for the board meeting on August 27th, 2019. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 6-0. We'll now move to agenda item 2A, executive session. Entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Ms. Littleton to enter into executive session. The stated purpose of executive session is the discussion of pending employment matters, to include the appointment of an administrator, and to hear 2 student attendance appeals. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are in executive session. I'll now entertain a motion to return to regular session.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McClellan, a second by Mr. Ramsey to return to regular session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Would like to state for the minutes that no action was taken in executive session. All right, now we're ready to call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 7-0. Now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. We'll now move on to agenda item 4A, citizen comments. No one registered to speak in citizen comments tonight. We'll now move on to agenda 5A, action from executive session. Mr. Barrow.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Katie Stapleton as the new Director of Special Services for Berkeley County School District, with the contract to take effect on September 11, 2019.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Wofford, to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Katie Stapleton as the new Director of Special Services for Berkeley County School District, with a contract to take effect on September 11, 2019. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Congratulations. We like the photo op now. Brian, did you get a good picture? Okay. We just really want to highlight all the awesome people who work here. Next, we'll move on to Ms. Conder.
Yes. Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the administration to approve the formal complaint and report of the breach of contract for 2 teachers to be sent to the State Board of Education, to ask that appropriate action be taken against the employee for unprofessional conduct as discussed during executive session.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. McQuillan, to accept the recommendation of the administration to approve a formal complaint and report a breach of contract for 2 teachers to be sent to the State Board of Education to ask that appropriate action be taken against the employees for unprofessional conduct as discussed during executive session. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 7-0. Lastly, from executive session, I'll now hear a motion for the attendance appeal of student number 1.
Madam Chair, I move that we grant the attendance appeal of student number 1.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Ramsey, to grant the appeal of student number 1. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 7-0. Now hear a motion for student number 2.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal of student number 2.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Ramsey, to deny the appeal of student number 2. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
5-2, the ayes have it. We'll now move on to agenda item 6A, the superintendent's report. Dr. Ingram.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, and members of the audience, staff. We are glad to be back in school. Kind of felt like we were starting the year all over again, didn't it? I went to Fox Bank yesterday, I think, and that's what Natalie was saying. Boy, it feels like we're starting school all over again after being in school 2 weeks and then out for 9 days. So we're glad to be back. We'll have a full report for you in the update. We really escaped with relatively little damage, thanks to the maintenance crew for getting out immediately, working over the weekend. Thanks to the payroll department for working on Saturday to make sure that our folks get paid in a timely manner. We appreciate that. I want to thank our chair. She doesn't know I'm doing this, but she's had about 3 hours of sleep in the last 7 days. For those of you who don't,
A little bit more than that.
for those of you who don't know, she works with the power, and she got a lot of folks back online a lot faster. And for those of you that don't really know what's involved in that process, it's really involved, and it takes lots of people doing lots of things, working when everybody else is clamoring to safety. So thank you, Ms. Wofford, for on behalf of those that didn't have power but got it back quickly. We thank you, and we should all feel blessed that we were not in the Bahamas or in some of the places that were hit much worse. So it missing a few days of school is inconvenient, but thank you for everything.
Thank you. You embarrassed me. Thank you very much.
Well, no, that's no small task. No small task at all. Yesterday, we had a meeting regarding our e-learning pilot, and we are going to be able to use technology to make up our days. We will hold a mock e-learning day on September 25th for elementary schools and the week of September 23rd through 27th for secondary schools. It's important to practice on this day. We weren't expecting to put it into play quite so soon, but let me explain how this works. A lot of people are a little bit confused, and I was at first. Is that better, Kelly? I need to speak into the microphone. Thank you. A lot of people say, well, how am I going to get online? I'm evacuating. It's not the day we're out. It's the makeup day. So on our makeup days, and unfortunately, we'll probably use all 3 of them right off the bat, which will be October 25th, March 13th, and April 10th. Our kids will be logging on with their Chromebooks, and we'll have virtual instruction, and we won't actually have to physically assign a makeup day, which seems to be popular, but it is a pilot, and we're going to have to make a report to the Education Oversight Committee in March. So we really want it to work well. So our principals and teachers are going to work really hard to make sure that we have good quality instruction loaded online and plans for those young ones that don't take the Chromebooks home. But we're going to get a chance to practice it without practicing it really, except for that one mock day. But we're confident that we got great people in place to lead that charge, and we're very confident we'll be able to do that. So again, we'll make up the time, but we'll make it up virtually, and it will not be on the days that we're out for bad weather, but on the designated make-up days. And I don't want to ask for any forgiveness right now because it's only September 10th, and we've got lots of days ahead of us where we could have inclement weather again. So let's kind of wait and hold tight and see what happens before we ask the board to forgive. Yesterday, our academics and innovation team late, we didn't even have a chance to get it on the agenda, but just to get it out there, this is what we're asking for. Technically, I think we'll have to have board approval, but we can do that at the next meeting. We want to move our progress reports from September 26th to October 1st. We do need to adjust the end of the first quarter from October 21st to October 23rd, and report cards will remain the same. They'll be distributed on October 31st. This adjustment will give us the same amount of time between the end of the quarter and report cards as in future quarters. So actually, the storm, I guess, in some way worked to our advantage. We're able to even out the quarters that way, but we need to delay progress reports a week commensurate with us missing a week of school. So Kelly already has a memo drafted for principals, and we'll make sure that we publicize that. I'm sorry. Teacher forum? Wait a minute. I'm just losing my mind here. What? Go ahead and say it for me.
She's here. Yeah, she's teacher forum.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. I have lost sleep too. I'm sorry. We do have a meeting of the South Carolina High School League next week, and we don't believe at this point they're going to be extending the sports season. So unless we have some more inclement weather, it looks as though we've basically canceled our games that we had last week. And we want to thank Thomas for being here, and also this is what Kelly was trying to mouth to me and just had to say it. Crystal Bryant, Crystal's here from Teacher Forum. Crystal, thank you for coming. We appreciate that. So we always appreciate our teachers, and looking forward to our first Teacher Superintendent Advisory Council meeting next week. So thank you very much. Madam Chair, board members and audience, that concludes my report for the evening.
Well, now, thank you, Dr. Ingram, and thank you for the kind words. There are a lot of people that work to keep the lights on, but it is no hurricane vacation if you work at the power company. So I was quite envious of everybody who got to do something fun, like Mr. McQuillan, who went surfing for like 4 days straight. Too bad we won't live that life. Anyway, just joking. We do have a good time up here. Temporary assignments, 7A. There's no need for temporary assignments tonight. All committees have a quorum present. We'll now entertain a motion to recess for committee meetings. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Littleton and a second by Ms. Conder to recess for our committee meetings. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 7-0. We'll now move on to our first committee meeting, which is the Academics and Innovation Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm calling the Committee on Academics and Innovation to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first agenda item is the Head Start budget expenditures reports for July 2019, Head Start credit card report for July 2019, prospective new hires, and the self-assessment improvement plan. What is the pleasure of my committee?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Head Start budget expenditures report for July 2019, Head Start credit card report for July 2019, prospective new hires, and the self-assessment improvement plan.
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, we'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. The second agenda item is the Innovation Spotlight, Macedonia Middle School. Dr. Kelly Wolf, you are recognized.
Chairwoman Condor, Dr. Ingram, members of the board, I am delighted to bring back to you our spotlight on innovation. A lot of folks ask, what is innovation? It literally is just a new idea, but with a purpose. The difference is with a purpose. If it wasn't with a purpose, it would just be something different. I would like to recognize Macedonia Middle School team, Don Walton, to talk about how he is changing the culture with a purpose.
Go ahead and click. Good evening, and I'd like to thank the board and everyone for inviting us out tonight to showcase our school. I want to introduce the team I have with me. I have Miss Amanda Bice, my assistant principal. I have Miss Carrie Ballantyne, our 2018 Rookie Teacher of the Year. Miss Erin Piazza, our 2019 Teacher of the Year. Miss Chris Matthews, our librarian. Miss Melissa Meverden, our instructional coach. And Miss Lindy Valenchek, our Innovative Learning Coordinator. One of the reasons that Miss Valenchek is a district employee, but one of the reasons I asked her to come up with us is because these things that we're going to show would not happen without district support, Dr. Ingram's support, and all the coordinators' support. And she's one that's been instrumental because she's assigned to our school that we have, but many coordinators have helped us out along the way with a lot of things that we're working on. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my team to brag about us.
Good evening. As Mr. Walton stated, I'm Amanda Bice, and I have the proud privilege of serving Macedonia Middle School as assistant principal. As leadership team at Macedonia Middle School, we've aligned ourselves with the State Department of Education's framework for personalized learning and Berkeley County School District's vision for exploring innovation. We strive to foster a school environment that empowers our teachers to think outside of the box and explore personalized learning through innovation. We're excited to be here this evening, of course, and we are excited to highlight our personalized professional development, the transformation of our physical learning environment, and the innovative personalized student learning. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our teachers here with us this evening, and that's Mrs. Piazza and Ms. Ballantyne.
Hi, I'm Ms. Piazza. I teach 6th grade science, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about something we've been working on in our plant unit. We talk about plants in 6th grade, and Ms. Ballantyne and I kind of started small. We started by introducing one raised garden bed. We thought that, it would be great for the kids to learn plants really hands-on and, get into the garden and explore. That would be the best way. So we started really small a couple years ago. And then I found out about a great program with Clemson Exchange, and I got a grant to get the 4 beds you see on the screen right now. They also gave us all kinds of equipment, and it really took off. The kids love it. We grow all kinds of things, and the kids even get to sample some of the food that we grow. We sometimes even go and cook it in our living skills room. It's really fun. But last year, some of my students became interested in a type of gardening called aeroponic gardening. And I told them about it, like what I knew, which wasn't a ton right off the bat. And they've researched it and found out it's a very clean form of gardening. There's no dirt, for those of you that don't know. You put the nutrients in the water, and they're pumped throughout. You can kind of see there, it's almost like a shower head, and it drips down over the roots, and the plants, grow much faster than they would in a raised garden bed. So the kids were really passionate about this. But when we researched, we found out it was quite expensive, and we weren't sure we could afford it. So some of my students took it upon themselves to create a Google slide, which is also in the picture there, to try to convince Mr. Bolton, our principal, why we needed it. So this is just kind of like the culture we have at our school. We feel like, I, as a teacher, feel like I can be open and share, and my students feel comfortable doing that too. So they made this, and we were super excited to hear that he said yes. And not only did he say yes to one garden, he said yes to two. So we now have two. And the kids got to actually put it together and assemble it, which I think is a great learning experience for them, you know, working together as a team. And so that's a picture of that. And now we have these great gardens. One's in my classroom, one's in Miss Ballantyne's classroom. And we're growing tomatoes right now. So that's kind of exciting. We want to make a pizza and cook a pizza from it. So, yeah, and the kids would tell you, if you were to ask any of the kids who were involved in that they feel really proud to have played a role in their school and make change. Like, they feel like they can influence and they can make a difference for the kids to come, even in the future. So that's one thing. I'll hand it off to Miss Ballantyne.
Hi, I'm Miss Ballantyne. I'm a 6th grade math and science teacher, and I'm just going to kind of start off where Miss Piazza left off. We definitely have a school where our students feel like their voice is important and that their voice is heard. And so when we started in our STEAM unit, we wanted to hear from them, and we wanted to see them make choices and things that they were passionate about. We partnered with the Clemson Extension Program for their biodiscovery project. For those of you who are unaware, the biodiscovery project is a state-based project that focuses on water quality. So our students are very passionate about it because they are tired of the swimming holes getting closed over the summer. So they were very excited to work on this. This is a picture of our student choice menu that we used for our project. And I'll just share with you one very small thing. If you look under the research graphic organizer, typically when I think graphic organizer, I think of like a Venn diagram or something that's written with bullet points. We actually had several students who entertained different ways to show mastery in this area, one of which was completely illustrative. So they took pictures and created this graphic organizer without using any words. And from a teacher standpoint, that was something, first of all, I would never be able to do because I'm not that artistic, but he did an outstanding job, and those students within that group really better understood the content. Our students were very fortunate. They got to put together their own bio racks. And then they got to meet with some experts from Clemson to go on a field trip. Our students learned how to launch the bio racks, how to throw cast nets, which was very entertaining to watch, and how to use microscopes in the field to identify different specimens on slides. What was really neat watching this field trip unfold is these students were learning all these, not only skills that they needed for the classroom, but life skills. And they were enjoying it and laughing and having a good time. And when we came back to the classroom, you would hear words from different specimens and stuff like that, that as a 6th grade science teacher, I would have never thought that my 6th grade students would be using in regular conversation with other students. So it's just been really nice to see them kind of take charge of their own learning and decide what avenues they want to explore, and just seeing that spark shine. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Chris Matthews. I'm the librarian, and I'm going to talk a little bit about changing physical space. We needed to change our library to accommodate all of this innovation and collaboration. So we wrote a couple of grants, and we had a couple of fundraisers, and we ended up raising a lot of money to totally redo our library. We got all new furniture, and we're just going to go through a few photos to show kind of what we ended up with. You'll notice that sometimes we work with technology, sometimes we don't. And our space lends itself to that. Our space also lends itself to anywhere from a whole class or 2 classes, which we've had before, doing different things all the way down to individual work. So plenty of room for group work. Everything is mobile, which was really important when we talk about innovation and being able to collaborate and work together. It was really important for us to be able to move things, make bigger areas, make bigger tables, and be able to utilize all that.
As part of our Collaborative Learning Center, we also have a Z-Space virtual reality lab. If you're interested in that, you could check out our ABC News 4 story where we were featured in February. We've also incorporated some 3D printers, which we received in part from a Berkeley County School District Innovative Educators Grant, and board members will get to see a little bit of that at the end of the meeting here as well. As the instructional coach, I work a lot with our Innovative Learning Coordinator. One of our goals is to make sure that we offer innovative, personalized experiences for our teachers because they're learners as well, and we want them to be able to pass that down too. We've done a couple things to encourage this. We've had teachers set their own goals for how they want to incorporate technology in their classroom and what kind of professional development and improvement they want to have in their instruction. We've got teacher choice boards and menus that we use with our staff so that they can decide what kind of coaching and what kind of professional development will really meet their needs and the needs of their students. Technology is really helpful in doing this, in collecting data and being responsive. One thing that really helped us out is that when we became a one-to-one school with Chromebooks, Mr. Walton issued a challenge to our staff and encouraged us to pursue becoming Google Level 1 certified educators, which shows proficiency with Google Suite apps and being able to use the Chromebooks in a really effective way. And so at the end of our 2017-2018 school year, 85% of our staff was certified as Level 1 educators. So that really kind of helped set us on the path of continuing to incorporate new technologies and think about ways to incorporate innovation and personalization.
I just want to sum up of what with Ms. Piazza talking about the Google slide presentation. I've been in education for 30 years and an administrator for, I believe, 18 now. And sitting in my office getting that Google slide presentation from those kids was probably one of the greatest experiences I've had. I mean, I smiled from ear to ear and just, I mean, I think if they would have asked for $20,000, I'd have tried to figure out how to get it. So that's why I gave them 2 instead of just 1. I appreciate you letting us come out tonight. We're thankful for all the support you give us, and I hope you have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, cool.
Oh, awesome.
That is so awesome.
Oh, wow.
Save the
Thank you.
fox.
Thank you.
How cool.
I get to keep Frank because I got 2 youngins.
Oh, I will get you. I'll take those out.
Oh, okay.
Here, I was gonna send it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got 2 babies. I'm sorry, you can't have my fox. So sorry.
So one of the things I just wanted to close with is that innovation is a process. And we know that all of our schools are at different places within that process. And so we want to continue to bring forward our schools to show that journey that they're on. And Macedonia certainly is creating a culture for innovation really to start to spark and grow.
This is what I like to see, Dr. Wolf, especially when I hear that the children are becoming motivated and they're helping to direct the direction that they're going in their learning process. And this is what inspires children and motivates them. And this has been long needed in the education field. I'm a firm believer in the collaborative process and collaborative learning and hands-on learning for our children. And I commend you for what you're doing. I think it's really awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for your support.
Thank you.
Dr. Ingram and I are just, we've worked really hard to have value-driven goals and commitments But one goal is that we'll empower every child to reach their maximum potential and not view them as a data point. And we're committed to the capacity to which each of us is called to put the interest of students above our own. You have absolutely done that here. Very exciting. I know kids love to go to school when they have some command and involvement in what they get to pick and what they get to learn. My children certainly do. So very exciting. And also, I mean, right, not hard. You didn't go like reinvent the wheel, but you made changes and steps in the right direction that created a capacity to grow. And having the movable furniture, you can think of a million things now because you've got the movable furniture. So it's putting those things in place to begin with to make everything expandable in the future, which is very, very exciting. Also, I know it's hard work to write grants and to write them on your own. We appreciate that. That's extra time. That is beyond your normal day, so we're really appreciative. The expandable seating, though, is probably one of the most exciting things to me. And I know I talk about my kids a lot, but in Miss Wallace's class in multi-age a long time ago, my now 9th grader was in 1st grade, and they had different choices of seats and different kinds of seating, and it totally changes their view of education when they get to pick what kind of seat they like. And I know that sounds so small and easy, but it's huge. And you guys have captured all of those things. So very exciting, very, very exciting, and absolutely lines up with what we think is important in Berkeley County School District. So A+, thank you.
Absolutely. And I'd also like to add, too, that I'll bet you anything that the scores on the testing with your children will probably be in excess of what the standard scores usually run. I'm so not into teaching to standardized testing. I'm against doing that because I don't believe that your children really learn through that rote process. And they're going to learn when they're motivated, when they're interested, when they are hands-on. That's where children learn. And that's where you're going to see the scores start to skyrocket. And we're not going to need to measure our children's success through standardized testing. So again, thank you.
Very cool.
Okay, I don't think we need to vote on this issue. We just enjoyed the spotlight. So on that note, I guess I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn our little meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion from Ms. Littleton to adjourn our Academics and Innovations Committee meeting, and a second from Mr. Barrow. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. Our meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Bye, thank you.
Y'all so much.
Thank you all.
Oh, I didn't see Miss Langley here.
I'm
You'll
calling
have
the
to come
committee.
back. You'll have to come back and share some more with us.
I'm now calling the Committee on Finance and Human Resources to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. Our first agenda item is for the second reading to revise policy GCCAA, sick leave. Dr. Karen Whitley, you are recognized.
Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Superintendent Ingram, and board members. We are asking for second reading approval to revise policy GCCAA, sick leave. This policy was approved last year by the board when adopting new personnel policies. We recently noticed typos and have corrected them in this revision. 210 days should have been 205, 220 should have been 225, and 240 should have been 245. Are there any questions?
I move to approve the second reading to revise policy GCCAA, sick leave.
Second.
I don't think I have any questions.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Approved by a vote of 2-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Whitley. Our second agenda item is the second reading to revise policy GBCB, electronic timekeeping. Dr. Whitley, you are recognized again.
Thank you. We're asking for second reading approval to revise policy CGBCB, electronic timekeeping. A draft of this policy was brought before the board for first reading in May. During the second committee meeting in May, this policy was tabled with a request to bring back for second reading in September. Revisions to the original draft include that classified staff will clock in and out, as well as all staff submit leave requests through the electronic time clock. Are there any questions?
No, I think we did send, actually, I think Katie sent out this revision. Sorry, I do not have the mic up. Katie sent out this revision to all BCSD users, and I did not get any feedback, so I don't know if anyone else got feedback. So the change will be, we'll use the electronic timekeeping system for all employees to enter leave requests, and the clocking in and out will be for hourly classified employees.
Yes, ma'am.
Some of the references to discipline were also edited in this version, which has been posted, but I have not heard any feedback. I feel like this is the compromise that was requested, a compromise between what other school districts do, staff, our teachers, community, but it'll come for final reading in 2 weeks. And so if for somehow this slipped off somebody's radar and they have feedback to give, please do that. But we did send it out to all BCSD users, and I did not get any additional feedback.
I just have a question, and I applaud the board for extending this and allowing our employees the opportunity to share their view. But I have a question about overtime. And on page 3, it basically says, and I think I know the answer, but I just want some clarity. It says prior approval of the CFO or Associate Superintendent of Human Resources must be obtained before an employee may work overtime. I don't think that means exactly what it says. I think you're authorizing the principal to pay the people that they have authorized to work overtime. Is that correct? Because let me just say this, because the other thing that I've noted here is it says any and all additional time worked must be pre-approved by the employee's supervisor. So I'm reading this in a twofold manner. Number one, the employee would have to get their supervisor or principal's permission for overtime. Is that correct?
They do get their supervisor's permission, and then we work with the supervisor.
So that's the part of the prior approval. That means the actual disbursement of funds that the building level supervisor has authorized is paid. Is that correct?
For example, we received today, we have some schools that we are not fully staffed with custodians, and they need custodians to work additional hours, so they sent in a request and asked if each custodian could work an hour additional until they got a full staff, which is coming out of our general fund, and the approval was given.
I think that's pretty much what I was stating. Like if a custodian or a secretary, let's say at a school level, needs to work over or at the request of the principal, then the principal is obviously granted the approval if they're asking the secretary or custodian to work over. And then the paperwork submittal that is submitted would be approved either by Ms. Smith or by Dr. Whitley.
And what happens is
payment.
when they send in the timesheet with the overtime on it, that they attach the email at this point stating, so that our folks know to.
I'm just a nuts and bolts type guy. That's kind of what I like to know, the process
Absolutely.
of how it's going to work.
And it's been working well. We've been doing that.
But if somebody, and I read in here also that if somebody works, let's say a district level classified person, let's just use that as an example. So they work 35 hours a week. Actually, they work 8 hours a day, but they have an hour for lunch. So they actually work 7 hours.
Yes, sir.
So 5 days times 7 is 35 hours. They have a 35-hour week.
Yes, sir.
But if they work from 35 to 40 hours, they're given additional pay at their normal salary
Yes,
rate,
sir.
hourly
The per
rate.
hour, yes, sir.
And then over 40, they get time and a half.
Yes, sir.
So do they have to, let's say, for example, Kim, let's say she's here tonight. Did she have to request from her supervisor that she work over in order to get paid extra tonight? Or is that a given? Is that pretty well a standard? I mean, we all know she's here. And
She has the permission from Mr. Jackson to do that, but, I mean, that's how it would be set up.
In other words, the Fair Labor Standards Act requires that nobody work more than their allotted hours, and if they do, they have to be compensated for it. So that's the reason for this policy. So I guess I'm working the nuts and bolts thing out. Let's say, for example, Kim again, she works 39 hours this week on the clock. Did that have to be prior approved in writing or just, you see what I'm saying, Dr. Ingram?
I do see what you're talking about, Mr. Barrow. I think the nature of her position wouldn't require it in writing because she is the secretary to the senior associate superintendent. And just as Ms. Brabham is the senior executive too, probably didn't get the title right. I'm not as big in titles as some, but to the superintendent. So it's inherent in that job that they would be here for these hours.
Right, would they clock in for this particular meeting and then out as it ends? Because they've clocked in at 8 o'clock and out at 4 o'clock because that's required by the policy as well.
I would think they would. Go ahead, Ashley. Right, that was what I was going to say. She said, correct me, Ashley, if I'm wrong, that they would clock in the morning when they come in, then they don't clock out till they leave. So they clock out when they leave.
But the policy requires that if somebody has additional duties, they have to clock in and out on their regular responsibilities and then.
I was going to say, that's like if you work as the front office clerk and then after school you're in daycare.
But how do we know how many hours Kim worked tonight, though? There's no measuring unless she clocks in and out.
She clocked in this morning and she's worked the whole time she's been here and she's going to leave here at 9 o'clock. She's going to get paid from 8 in the morning until whenever we stop talking.
Okay, so she's going to work more than 38 hours this week.
If you keep talking.
That's fine with me. I just want some clarity, that's all.
Kim's like, keep talking. We'll stay here all night. No, I think what it was.
I'm saying?
Yes, I see what you're saying. I think the point is that we have to authorize overtime. Someone cannot take a stack of work home and come back on Monday and say, I worked 20 hours over the weekend on this big stack of paper. I believe that's the intent of what we were trying to accomplish. And then if you change job responsibilities where you have a different rate. So if you're a bus driver and
Custodian.
You need to, you'll badge out and change your responsibility and badge back in.
One of the things with Croton's time clock, the account number is tied to the job you're performing at the time. So if you're a custodian and a bus driver, when you go to clock in, they'll both pop up and the employee determines what job they're performing at that point. When they finish with that job, they clock back out. And if they're going to the next one right then, they clock in, and the two will come up, and then they will choose the job that they're performing going forward.
Makes sense to me.
I have to admit, it had slightly slipped my mind that this was on the agenda, and I've had a super long week, and then last night I remembered that time clocks were on the agenda, and I almost wanted to cry. We really want to get this right and be able to use the system properly, but this is not the end-all be-all. If this doesn't work, we will come back and say we're very sorry and we'll try again. This is not, I mean, I guess it's written in stone for now, but if it does not work and it cannot be administrated, we'll come back and edit it because we're not going to have policies we don't follow. I feel like it's been painful, but we've got to start somewhere, and then we can back up or go forward if it does not work for our employees.
And go ahead. At the same time, my thought would be, might be some positions that right now are classified as non-exempt that we might have to take a look at and reclassify it as exempt. You know, because just logically, if someone's working extra hours all the time, typically as part of their job responsibilities, then they might need to be looked at as an exempt employee instead of an hourly employee, because it's just kind of doesn't make much sense that you're going to consistently paying someone overtime, you know, because that's kind of goes against what our whole thought process as a district is that we don't want people getting all this extra overtime. They have to get paid for it, obviously. So just as another little thought process, and as Chairman Wofford stated, if there's a problem, we'll correct it.
Let me just make a statement that I'm certainly not against this. I am a proponent, and it's federal requirement to make sure that our hourly employees are paid accordingly on the time clock. That's a federal law. The issue is whether or not the exempt employees are mandated to use the electronic time clock, and under this policy, they are not. They have to do the leave and the absentee and so forth like that, and I don't think there'll be a problem with it, Ms. Wofford. I really don't. I think it'll all be worked out in the minutia. It just takes time to get everything processed and run the right way.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll be more efficient. I mean, in my perfect world, we'll be more efficient. We'll have more staff in the district office. Instead of keying in timesheets, they can support other things, get business done. So, all right, I think this horse is dead. Let's don't beat it anymore.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 2-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Whitley. Our third agenda item is out-of-state travel. Ashley Smith, you are recognized.
Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Dr. Ingram, and board members. Administration is requesting approval of the out-of-state travel as presented.
I move to approve the out-of-state travel request as presented by administration.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Gotta second me.
Huh?
You gotta second me.
Oh, I didn't second? All right, second it.
No discussion. I don't think we have any questions.
Okay.
All right. You gonna call
All
it?
those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 2-0. Our fourth agenda item is a request for a $500 limit increase on P-card purchases. Ashley Smith, you are recognized again.
Thank you. In March of 2018, the Finance Department implemented a procedure requiring prior approval of P-card purchases over $500 to be approved by the superintendent and the CFO. After approval, procurement releases the funds and the transaction enters regular workflow. This process was implemented following the sentiments of the board to cut spending and monitor expenditures. Procurement now has the ability to screen all purchases and receipts and will notify the CFO if there are any issues. Administration is requesting an approval to increase the limit of prior approval of P-card purchases from $500 to $2,500, as we currently have proper checks and balances in place to monitor any issues.
I move to approve the request to raise the minimum purchase on a P-card from $500 to $2,500 with the approval of the CFO and superintendent.
Second. All those in favor? Go ahead, Mr. Barrow.
I just have a question. Is that for school level and district level, or what about district maintenance? Because sometimes the air conditioner goes out and something is over $2,500. can't we make an exception or an addendum to this to maybe up to $5,000 for the district maintenance issues?
Well, that was part of, we've had some discussions with staff.
Okay.
Chairman Wofford and myself, and I believe that we certainly need to raise the level as far as approvals,
So,
especially starting with the maintenance.
Yeah, that
and even
seems
with
to
that,
be-
even say like Mr. Thomas, it needs to be a good bit higher than that.
so this is just for the P card. I'm concerned about spending more than $2,500 in a single purchase on a P card because of Marcy, because of procurement. So can you tell us about procurement rules for more than $2,500?
The small competition threshold for small purchasing is $2,500. Anything above $2,500 to $10,000, you have to secure 3 written quotes. And so that's when procurement has to step in and make sure that that is handled, and that's state law that's mandated through the state, and it's part of our procurement code.
And that's with the P cards, right?
And
That's any kind of money you
Any
spend.
purchase.
So we couldn't give Mr. Thomas like $10,000 approval?
No.
No, sir, not without proper approval.
He still would have to get,
Contract purchasing and things like that.
We have to get the bids.
Correct.
he still has to get quotes.
So that's why we do these long-term contracts with different
Exactly.
groups so that we can,
We have a ready source of
Ready
supply,
source.
so that they can, like, for the air conditioners, we have a contract with Train, and they go out and make those purchases. And those can be immediate without the.
but we can streamline the process of emergency purchases when we have AC or we have serious things as far as that maintenance needs to get done. So it does not necessarily have to get approved by the superintendent and the CFO and 4 other people
No, sir.
if we don't want it to. That's not state law.
Correct. Not if we do away with this process and we have a contract in place, then.
And that's one of the things I know I, as a board member, feel very strongly about, as far as that I would like to see our staff, as far as to get things when we need to get it approved. Obviously, we got to follow state law, but
It will definitely empower our employees to be more expedient to reacting to needs at the school level.
thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.
So 2,500, I know Mr. Thomas is back there, 2,500 gives you,
That's going to help us tremendously.
gives you the latitude.
This $500, limitation right now, this will help tremendous, and this does, like Mark says, put us kind of back where we were at that threshold before, at that $2,500, and moving forward, we know we have to get 3 quotes to move beyond that. So this is going to help us tremendously.
And from my standpoint, the board and Dr. Ingram and our CFO and our staff, we did this because we had to. We had to right the ship. We had to get it correct. And the school district and the staff and everyone has done a tremendous job. But I think it's been proven now. And I think we trust our people that we have in place. So I don't see it as the issue that it was. I think now we have the people in place here at the district office and in the staff and in the schools. When there's a problem, we're with our auditor and we're checking it monthly. We can address it and say, hey, don't like how you did this time. Next month, let's make sure we don't do it this way because this doesn't work. And we'll correct it quickly. So I feel really positive about raising the P card to $2,500. And also I feel really positive about the work that procurement's doing as well. So thank you, Marcy.
Thank you. All right, I think I did. Move to approve the request to raise the minimum purchase on a P card from $500 to $2,500 with the approval of the CFO and superintendent.
Second, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 2-0.
You got to wait 2 more weeks, though. It's got to go to the full board. If I'd have known it would make you that happy, I'd have pushed it on up.
I'd also like to thank you, Ms. Smith, for implementing a checks and balances system that has been working and allowing, it allows us now to be able to do this. So thank you. Thank you for implementing that. Very competent.
Our 5th agenda item is approval for exceeding contract price for BCE. Ashley Smith, you are recognized again.
Thank you. Administration is requesting a change order in payment to HG Rentals in the amount of $16,439.91. An explanation of the overage was supplied to you on board docs regarding Berkeley County Water and Sewer requesting change in height of 5 manholes. This was not part of the original scope of work. However, the work had to be completed at the direction of Berkeley County. We are requesting approval for this change order and payment in the amount of $16,439.91.
I move to approve the change order and payment to HG Rentals in the amount of $16,439.91 over the original contract price for the services completed during the construction of Bowens Corner Elementary School.
Second. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 2-0. The sixth agenda item is RFP 550-19-20, musical instruments and supplies. Ashley Smith, you are recognized again.
Thank you. This item is to establish a source of supply to purchase musical instruments and supplies on an as-needed basis. Awards will be made by lot numbers to Music and Arts, Ronald Sachs Violins, Pecknell Music Company Incorporated, Universal Melody Services, and Washington Music Sales Center. The bid tabulation has also been placed on board docs for your review. This will be a 1-year contract with the option to renew for 4 additional years, and the maximum contract term is 5 years.
I move to approve the award of RFP 550-1920 for musical instruments and supplies as described by Ms. Smith.
Second. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 2-0. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn so the Facilities and Capital Planning Committee can begin.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are now adjourned.
I'm calling the Committee on Facilities and Capital Planning to order. I declare that a quorum of committee members are present and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first agenda item is the educational specifications and land acquisition. Dr. Tony Parker, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. We brought to you before, for your information, the educational specifications for Berkeley County, and we're asking for your approval in light of those education specifications so that we can move forward with RFQs on our additions that you approved the budget for at the last meeting. And also, as part of that information, to move forward with our land acquisitions as well.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion to approve the educational specifications and land acquisitions as presented.
Second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 2-0. The second agenda item is procurement model for additions. Dr. Parker, you are again recognized.
Yes, we're recommending to the board to use the design bid build model. It's within state procurement guidelines that we can use that model. And we're focusing on an RFQ now to move forward with the design of the additions at Cane Bay Middle School and Sangaree Middle School.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion to approve procurement model for additions as presented.
Second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a vote of 2-0. Thank you, Dr. Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The third agenda item is the authorization for superintendent to enter a memorandum of understanding and donation of building and land to Berkeley County. Dr. Ingram, you are recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I spoke with Johnny Cribb about the old lawyer's house. I think it's on 102 Gulledge Street. We currently own it. The county used to own it. It's on the tax rolls for somewhere around $300,000. And rather than perhaps demolishing the building, they have a use for it for perhaps a coroner's office. And so I'm asking permission that we enter a memorandum of understanding to be drafted by our legal department that would have the county return in-kind services for the value of that property, and that what we have discussed has been paving, that they would give us the amount of paving that would be equivalent to the value of that property, and it saves us the cost of demolition and that sort of thing. So I'm asking for that permission to negotiate.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion to authorize the superintendent to enter into a memorandum of understanding regarding the donation of the district building located at 102 Gullidge Street, Moncks Corner, South Carolina, to Berkeley County government in exchange for in-kind services in an amount negotiated by the superintendent.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a vote of 2-0. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this committee meeting.
So moved.
Second, all in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are now adjourned.
I'll now entertain a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion from Ms. Littleton, a second by Ms. Conder, to return to the full board regular session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 7-0. Agenda item 9A, Mr. McQuillan.
Madam Chairwoman, the Committee on Facilities and Capital Improvement met earlier this evening. On recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the education specifications and land acquisition as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? We have talked about the ed specs a lot. The reason why it is in the immediate board meeting is so we can get to work and start making some work on the expansions that we have at some of the schools that have a great need. So that's why it's doubled up tonight. So
Dr. Parker indicated that the additions were going to be at those two middle schools. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that was in public record at that point.
Yep. We're
Okay.
getting to work.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Mr. McCullen. Y'all can't talk that fast because it stresses our clerical staff out.
What, you don't want to hang out any
We don't want to pay them overtime.
All in favor? Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.
Did have quite